Okay, so here we have our stitch length chart that we just made, and we can see all the different stitches that our machine is capable of. I think I like stitch 10. That looks like it's a decently spaced stitch for keeping things together well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my stitch length up to a 10. I have it lined up next to the 10, and then I'll screw in the screw to keep that set in place. Then I'm going to take my first example of the concentric square. This is sheet number 2 in our instructions. And I'm going to start right in the center, and I'm going to work my way around the square until I get to the edge. And we'll go ahead and I'll do that process for you and talk you through it. I'm keeping my light off of my machine for filming purposes so that you don't have a glare. But here we go. I'm going to line up the center of the point where I'm going to start right underneath the center of my foot, and I can see it right in there. I'm going to hold my thread end, and I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of stitches forward. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and reverse it, bring a couple of stitches back. That's called setting a stitch. That's pretty important in sewing. I'm sure you've heard of that. If not, that's how you set a stitch. And you'd like to do that at the beginning and the end of stitching. And I'm going to go ahead and slowly stitch to the end of that line. Then with my needle still in the fabric, I'm going to turn and stitch to the end of the next line. And if I need to do it by hand, that's fine. Just keep on turning and going all the way around. Turn. I'm sorry if this is making the video jumpy at all. Turn. I'm trying my best to stay on the line. Obviously right there I did not. And right there is the corner. Turn. I'm coming down this line, and I'll go all the way around until I get to the end, and we'll join in at that point, and I'll show you what I have. Okay, I'm right at the end. I've done the whole square with my sewing lines, and I'm right at the end, and I'm going to be going right up to the edge of my fabric. I bring my needle around so that I can lift up my needle and snip my thread, and there's our concentric circle. Then what you want to do is carefully, take out your pins, and you would carefully start to rip the paper away along those perforated stitches. Just the thinner the fabric, the thinner the paper you have, the easier that'll be. And if you use stitches that are really close together, then that makes it even easier because it makes more of a perforation. And once you have all of those pieces of paper pulled off, you'll have the stitches left behind, and it looks very beautiful. I love red work. I think that that's just a lovely look, and that's kind of the thing I was trying to accomplish with this. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all this, and then I'll be right back. One way to get some of the paper off pretty easily is to bring it right up to the line and crease it, and then tear it off like it's a perforated page, and that brings it right down to the stitch line for you, so it's a nice clean break. And then when you get to the next part, you can just pull that back pretty easily. I've gotten all the paper off, and here's what my here's what my fabric looks like. This is where I first started pulling off the paper, and you can see where I was being a little bit too rough. I wasn't folding the paper over onto itself like I did in the center. It looks much cleaner in the center. But this is something that this exercise is more meant to have us practice following lines and making sure that we are able to go from point A to point B in a controlled and accurate manner. So practice that, and please share what it is that you've sewn on our Facebook group page, Featherweight Skill Series, or you can give me comments on my blog, and I'd love to see what you've made. Thanks. I'll talk to you next time.